Well, that's all right. I can do it without my glasses. So I didn't write a new one this week because I didn't have time. I'm really busy. But so I'll just rehash an old one that I did a long time ago.
Rehash.
So, yeah, another one that's been done when we first started this one. I know that Matt likes it. So
it's a callback.
It's a callback, yeah. So 1, 2, 3, 4. Can I have a little more? 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. I love you. A, B, C, D. Can I bring my friend to tea? E, F, G, H, I, J. I love you. Bum, 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 bum. Sail the ship. Bum, bum, bum. Jump the tree. Bum, bum, bum. Skip the rope. Bum, bum, bum. Look at me. All together now. It's the Ramblecast. 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 Messed up a little bit, but no well.
Very nice. Nick, that's your best one yet.
Is it? I don't think so, but yeah.
I like it how the Knickernet ruined it just at the
perfect
right
time
moment. It was like,
oh, did it?
Damn
it
had
it
that special
was
sauce.
par for the course.
Mm-hmm. Very good.
Well, one day it'll get fixed.
No, that was fun. That
is,
puts me in a good mood. It's like a very upbeat, like
it's a good one. Yeah. The Yellow Submarine soundtrack definitely gets overlooked. You know, I think it's because it's only 1 or 2 new songs by Paul, and mostly George's, like kind of ones that they didn't want. So he's like, okay, well, got to do something with them, and then the rest of it's all just orchestration by George Martin. But I like it.
Yeah, I mean, it is kind of like Sgt. Pepper Part 2.
Yeah, because I mean, I think Only a Northern Song and
Hey Bulldog.
Well, Hey Bulldog was written for intentionally. It was supposed to be the B-side of Lady Madonna, so it was recorded in early '68.
Early '68. Okay.
Yeah.
So,
but two of the 3 George's songs were written for Sgt. Pepper and were not included because they just did not think, because Sgt. Pepper was going to be huge, and they're like, you should really think about put something better on this.
It's just really not the best.
Yeah.
I mean, it's like Rolling Stones good, but not Beatles best.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah. I mean,
we're up here, George. Wish you could see where we're at.
I mean, he came in with Within Without You, which is one of my favorite tracks on Sgt. Pepper. A lot of people don't like it because it's Indian music and it's weird, but you just listen to the lyrics of Within Without You, and it's awesome by itself. Anyway. And then, Hey Bulldog. Yeah, I always forget about Hey Bulldog.
I mean, if we have to deal with the artistry, and don't get me wrong, but it's just after a while, if she's leaving home, you're like, okay, I get it. Like, she's leaving home.
Yeah.
Such a downer song to that A side,
I like Sgt. Pepper, but it's probably the least Beatles record I listen to, just because it's to me, it's a little too much of Paul, and I just tend not to like it as much. I don't hate it. I love all of John's songs on it. Good Morning is okay, but
for the listeners, like Nick actually just texted me an image of Paul getting the newspaper when Lennon died. Right? Is that what he's doing?
So that's a photo that's in Paul's new book, Lyrics, or Paul Lyrics, or whatever it's called, and it was taken on October 9th. Yeah, December 9th of '80. And Linda took it from the car as Paul was walking to the newspaper stand. So you just see the back of his, looking at the papers. But it's one of those that, like, I'm sure Paul would not had wanted that photo taken. But it's one of those things like, fuck, that's a memory right there,
So why was the picture taken? Did she
Linda
already know?
Linda was a photographer, and she did professionally until she got married to Paul. But so she always had her camera with her. So they knew
she had the Kodak Empire.
They knew
at her fingertips.
Actually, they're not related. A lot of people think that, but they're not related. At least that's what I'd always heard. So they found out like that night, in the middle of the night, while they were sleeping, that John had been shot. But I guess that morning when he went to get the paper or whatever, like Linda just took the photo of him going to get the paper. Yeah, there it is.
Here is the photo. It took me long enough. I didn't realize we were going to talk about it. Seems pretty apt since you just sent this to me. I think it's just your way of saying, like, look at Paul being sad.
Well, she's clearly in the passenger seat there in a very British car, on the left-hand side.
And that guy right there in the photo, that's mean Mr. Mustard.
I totally see it. Yeah.
Chris, you've been pretty quiet.
That's just a sad picture.
Yeah. Hard to believe it was 40 years ago.
It's nuts.
Almost 41. I mean, the thing that's crazy, I remember, when...
You remember watching Monday Night Football?
No, I remember in 2000. I remember in 2000 when it was 20 years, and we were like, "Oh man, it's been 20 years since John Lennon died." Sure. And it's like, damn,
Right. And meanwhile, you got a bunch of fucking morons all gathering around the goddamn book depository in Texas, waiting to see JFK Jr. be reincarnated to reinstate Donald Trump as president.
What?
Have you not seen this?
No, not at all.
Hundreds of QAnon fucking morons are all under the impression that JFK Jr. was going to be resurrected from the dead today.
What?
At the place in which his father was killed.
Like science fiction.
No. This is fucking real.
Why would
it
be
reality?
I mean, it's tragic what happened to him, but why would they want Junior to be reincarnated or resurrected?
Don't know.
But for the record, Nick's talking about JFK and not Trump.
Oh. Right. So apparently JFK Jr., according to the QAnon lore, JFK Jr. was going to be resurrected or make himself be aware that he was actually never dead.
Oh.
and somehow, how can this be? For he is the Quizard Sadarak.
And so hang on a second. Let's just say JFK Jr. is alive.
Okay.
He's not.
Right.
Let's just say he was.
Right. It didn't die in that plane crash.
So even if he was,
they found him in the plane though.
Why? Of course they did. But why would JFK Jr. all of a sudden have these powers that allow him to place Donald Trump in the White House?
Have you seen Watchmen season 2 yet?
My God.
It's also.
It's unbelievable. There's hundreds of people gathered at the grassy knoll today, and I'm not even fucking making that shit up.
Speaking of JFK, was it you or was it someone else I was talking to? Was talking about the actual Kennedy assassination? Like, there's another theory out there which I had never heard until like maybe a month ago. That was really interesting because you know how Trump delayed the findings, and then now Biden has delayed the findings.
Yeah, what's in the findings, right?
And so the theory, I heard this theory a month ago, and I don't know how I've gone this long without hearing it. And it was, yes, Oswald was the only shooter, but his first shot hit the bridge, the second shot hit Kennedy in the throat, and the third shot hit the governor. But the fatal headshot came from the Secret Service by a guy following in the car behind them that accidentally grabbed his rifle.
We talked about this.
Okay, that's what I thought. I thought it was you that said it. Yeah, but I was like, I never had heard that, but it makes total sense.
We've talked about it on this show for sure.
Okay,
I just don't know where that came about. So
I never heard that before.
It's one of those. Really? It's one of those that makes sense from a government point of view of like you don't want the
maybe Nick and I
their own
talked about this
government killed their president by accident.
So you're saying the theory states that the Secret Service mistakenly killed President Kennedy?
That the fatal headshot was a Secret Service.
Mr. CIA guy, I'm just speculating. If you're listening, I know nothing. Okay, resume.
Yeah. Basically, the Secret Service guy with the M16 or whatever he had, or whatever rifle he had in the car, when he picked it up, he accidentally discharged it out of just shock, and the bullet is the one that killed Kennedy.
And here, one step deeper into the QAnon theory here is that the reason they won't release this is in case they ever want to use the Secret Service to accidentally take out a president. Then that excuse is gone.
Yeah.
I like John, the UPS guy, says you're insulting actual morons. QAnon morons are bigger and larger or worse than, I guess. I guess you got a greater than.
They're greater than regular morons.
Okay. Regular morons. John, are you still the UPS guy? Can you go by that handle anymore? I saw something, I think, on Facebook that you retired. Is that correct?
Oh, shit. I think you're going to say he like changed his sex.
So now he's just John.
That's what you went to. You're like, well, Kim,
John, the UPS guy.
Person.
I mean, hey, whatever.
You were like,
congratulations. Did John retired?
And he's with FedEx now.
Is he really? Oh, no? Yeah.
So that's a different kind of change.
What's the real story? What happened?
I think he legit retired. And John, fill us in.
I'm still on the books until the end of February.
Does that mean you're not fucking working? You're just paying you?
That sounds kind of like a Michael Corleone kind of cop out, though. You know,
that's awesome, man.
So you can still.
They could still pull me back in.
I am insanely jealous. Yes, you're still in the books until the end of February. This is for fucking holiday return season. Good luck.
They own your ass.
I mean, you can't just be John from that point on. Like, what's he got to be?
John,
like
the former UPS guy.
The former. Yeah, put it in quotes.
It would just be John, the UPS guy. Parentheses RET period. Parentheses.
John, no longer brown and down.
Oh, 6. He's got vacation and sick pay for 4 months.
What?
I love that move.
Nice.
That is a fucking veteran move. So he put his notice of his retirement in, but he's just using up his vacation and sick time. Right. Fucking brilliant. Awesome. Well done. Move.
That's what the only thing I really missed about working in California was that, you got starting out at the company I was at, you got guaranteed 2 weeks vacation and 2 weeks sick days. So you basically had a month.
The rest of America is just,
and I never took much vacation because I didn't have any money.
Oh, it's your money. I got to take vacation off.
But when I haven't taken a vacation this year yet. But when I quit, they had to pay me for all those sick days and vacation days, everything I had accumulated. So I got like a fat ass check, when I left. I was like,
oh yeah.
So it was nice. Yeah, and there's people I know that have worked at that company their whole career, and then they basically take, I think, like the last 2 years, so like they retire like 63 and like they're paid all the way to 65 because they just accumulate it all. And I was like, that's awesome.
What's the holiday in January coming up? Patriots Day?
New Year's Eve, New Year's Day.
You mean Martin Luther King Day?
January.
Oh, is it MLK Day?
Shit. Martin Luther King Day is in January.
It is MLK Day.
Yeah.
All right.
And
I need
Elvis's birthday.
That was something I got spoiled on because like MLK Day in California is a paid holiday off. At least at that company the guy I worked for was, and it was not in Colorado. So I remember that Friday before this past year, I was like, before COVID hit, I was like, I'll see you guys on Tuesday, and they all looked at me like, what? And I was like, you don't get MLK Day off. I was like, you don't. And then they changed the Colorado rules now to where like you do get it off. So I was like, cool. Or
awesome.
maybe it's my company, but who knows? Anyway, I get MLK Day off now.
She reminded me I need to request some time off. I'm just going to do that live while we're on the show.
Yeah, I'm taking probably the whole week of Thanksgiving and then probably 2 weeks in December.
Speaking of which, I think that's why Jack's gone. I can't even fucking talk.
Yeah, I wonder if it's all those babysitting days he racked up.
He racked them up. He finally cashed them in.
Just cashing in finally on getting some time
wasn't he
off.
going to Disneyland?
Oh god, that's even worse.
Wasn't he going
Disney
to
World? He's
Disney
going to
World.
Disney World.
That's right.
Excuse me.
Fuck, you couldn't fucking pay me to go to Disney World right now.
I don't know. I'd
couldn't do
probably.
it.
The only thing, I haven't been since '93. But the only reason why I didn't want to go down there is just to do the Star Wars.
Yeah, but it's fucking Florida.
In winter, it's not bad.
But now would be the ideal time. That would be a good thing to do in January or
I used to go every March, and then I remember my sister dragged me down there in June of 2016 or something like that. And I just remember getting out of the truck and going, "Fuck you!"
Mm-hmm.
It's just so fucking hot.
I've never been to Walt Disney World. I've only been to the Land.
The Land is better if you just want like a day. Like if you just want a day to go do all your rides and have some fun, Disneyland.
Right.
But Disney World, because there's three different, you have MGM,
right.
Epcot, and Disney
There's
World. There's only one good ride at each of those places. And so it's just 3 days of fuck you. Just go to Epcot and just drink.
It's hilarious because my wife had put this out as an idea for the kids to kind of like mutually save money for, and we have kind of like this jar in our living room where we just put cash. Mainly it's dad's cash, so I'm usually just footing the bill for this, but it's kind of like our Walt Disney World money to maybe go someday and see the Star Wars stuff. But damn, like it's just like Halloween, she was freaking out with the crowds that we get in our neighborhood. And I'm like, how are you going to survive Walt Disney World if you can't deal with this? But yeah, the crowds in our like little small town here, like we're just nuts. Like I remember growing up on streets and, you'd go down and people would just be giving you tons of candy because no other kid had came their way. Now it's like there's this whole section of, and maybe you guys have places like this in your town where it's like there might be a block or something where all the houses just go to like they go nuts. It's almost like a whole block, and then that becomes kind of like the focal point. But I mean, it was like legit. It could have been a fair. The street should have been closed down. It just awesome. Was nuts.
My old neighborhood was like that. It was like there's this one house that really fucking did it every year, and they were like the family that owned like the local hardware store, and they're kind of like a namesake of the town. Like they've been there for a long time, and they're pretty well off. So they have a nice house, they have like a nice little like plot of land in the neighborhood, but they go all out, like probably like a $15,000-$20,000 like setup outside of their house, like not even exaggerating. And and everybody tries to like not compete, but essentially tries to play in the same lane. You know what I mean? So the result of that is just the entire road of strip of houses there are just one after another. It's just really elaborate setups. And even 2 years ago, last year we didn't do trick or treating. 2 years ago, we actually went back to the old neighborhood and went trick or treating there. It was a lot of fun. And this year we actually went to a friend's neighborhood because there's not a whole lot of kids around here. I think my kids we're like one of two families that have kids in this neighborhood. So we're out. We're going somewhere else. But it was fun. But this year was like my son's first year of really getting it. Kind of like not getting it, but like
what was he dressed up as?
Lightning McQueen. Yes.
Nice.
Yeah. Yeah.
The car or the human?
Yes.
Well, was he like shaped like a car, or was
it
like
it was like a onesie, like a zip up.
Okay,
onesie. It was almost it was like a pit crew onesie.
That makes more sense.
I'm
just trying to paint a picture for.
No, it was like I got a picture.
Randy, you're right. Jack is on the broadcast tonight.
He left us.
Yeah, so he gets better pay apparently. The more shows he's on with Colleen, the more he gets paid. So
and he needs the money because he doesn't get paid to babysit.
He does not. It's a real big. Oh, what a cutie!
Oh yeah.
He's got his little onesie on. He's kind
of what's the blue? What's the blue thing? Oh, it's his bag. Okay.
All the kids are like kind of holding court, divvying up their candy and whatnot.
Man, I miss those.
Like, but this is like his first year of like getting into it, and Emma, his sister,
what'd she go as?
She was a broken doll.
Okay.
She's getting all dramatic on us. I didn't really quite know what she was getting at, but
and there's 7-year difference, right?
Or 7 years apart. Yeah.
Yeah. Okay.
So what was really cute though is that like here's some pictures of the two of them. So she got dressed up as.
Did she have cat ears? Is that?
No, it's like a bow.
Oh, it's a bow. Okay.
Yeah.
My daughter wore cat ears for a really long time, so it kind of had that look. Oh, let's see.
So
yeah, cute.
I think Jack was hanging low before he went out there too, and dumping his pants. But anyways, it was cute to see her like kind of like for a couple of houses at least, kind of like bringing him along.
Yeah.
And then after that, she's like, "Fuck this kid! Like he's taking too long.
He's taking too much time. I got shit to do.
Then it was this guy here going up to the doors. But it was good. It was a fun. And the weather held out, which is nice. We're worried about that. So
it's been storming up there for
It's been some pretty.
Did you dress? Did you dress up as?
I didn't. I did.
Oh, you did. Okay.
Yeah, I did. It didn't stray too far from my actual wardrobe, but my wife and I went as hippies.
Nice, classic. Can't go wrong.
There we go.
Hippies.
There we go. Yeah.
I was surprised how many people dressed up as Ted Lasso. I was like, "What isn't he?"
So
costume?
Yeah.
So many.
That must have been the outfit of the season. So I don't know.
I was checking out.
I don't know if you can see this. This is kind of dark there,
yeah.
but this was our family. I was dressed as a walrus. So we have this big inflatable kind of blow up, which is really kind of
hanging around.
Which is kind of funny. Well, no, I'd worn it like a couple of years ago, but we didn't do trick or treating last year, so I just broke out the walrus. Goo goo goo. The only thing with it is though the way that it goes around my legs, it's like I waddle and I can't go as fast.
Kind of like wearing jeans in the snow.
Nothing like that at all.
Oh, okay.
It is kind of nice.
Wearing jeans in the snow.
It is kind of nice to have this like little bubble around you, though.
Yeah, you get a little air. Yeah.
Yeah, and then my son dressed up as a Jawa.
Mm-hmm.
So and my
Did
daughter
he drink martinis?
No, but he definitely had a lot of two teenies.
Mm.
No, I don't know. I was
Where you
trying to
going
go
with
for a
that,
Tootsie Roll joke there. But, and then my daughter broke out the COVID, 2020 outfit. She worked really hard on this bird costume last year, and then of course we just didn't really do. We did a little bit of trick or treating on our block last year, but we really were, COVID, and we were just like, So this year it was full on like balls to the walls, just crazy town. And I think I've talked to you guys about this, how we do a switch witch thing. Yeah, where we switch out the candy and give them like a little toy. Now as they've gotten older, they've definitely done the like, oh well, what about this, and then like keep upping the ante. Kids, you start off giving them a $5 item, and then by the time they're 15, they want a $30 item. So I like how you're sticking your middle finger up there.
We don't need another fucking Hallmark card holiday.
No, it's true. We don't. The last Halloween, because like my office before COVID, so Halloween 19, like the kids, like the kids of the people who work in the office, like they'll all come in and like do a train of like,
You mean by the kids, you mean the people that are younger than you?
I'm probably the youngest person in the office, really.
Oh, you mean the kids that actually
like
kids.
If you were my coworker, your kid would come to the office, and like they like it's like on like their first stop before, like because they get out of school at 3, right? So they're gonna go home. If they're not dressed up for school, then they'll dress up and then they come to the office for the last couple of hours before their parents get off work, and so then they'll trick or treat around the office desks.
Mm-hmm.
And that's when I discovered that for some reason, like I love high chews, like they're like. I love that candy, but kids,
so good.
Kids apparently do not understand what high chews are, and they just look at the bowl of high chews like, "What is this?" I'm like, "If you don't want them, I will eat this whole daggone bowl, you little shit."
I had 2 packages of grape this week already.
Heck yeah, grape's awesome.
So good.
And the stuff with the edibles that are also high chews are pretty good too.
Oh yeah, high chews. Oh, good one. Yeah. Is that a thing?
Yeah. I think so. Right. If you Google,
if it's not, people are stupid because that's
right.
Like
it's perfect. Right there. It's in the fucking name.
HIGH
Chews.
Correct.
Yeah. Same font. Correct. Whole 9. Yeah.
Mm-hmm. Exactly. Yeah. It's like cash cow.
That's
man.
Brilliant. We should just sit here and make weed names for like edibles
stuff. Yeah. I guess I've lucked up though in that like the last place I lived at was in the middle of nowhere and no one lived in that town, and this one I'm the youngest person in my neighborhood, so I don't have any trick-or-treaters, nor do I have kids to take trick-or-treating. So it's like,
I'm gonna give it time.
Yeah. Well, that's
people will die.
That's
people
what
will move in.
That's what I think, because like we lost, I think, 2 couples a month ago, and eventually this whole neighborhood, I think, rarely quick, probably within the next decade, will completely turn over.
There it is. Circle of life.
Yeah. And I had
patron weed names. Randy requests.
Sorry, I already got them. I already got them ready for tonight. Sorry, they're not weed
prefabricated.
Maybe next week.
You have prefab patron.
You're usually inspired by what we talk about.
I did. I even had like image graphics ready to go tonight.
Huh.
Yeah. Okay. Next level.
Hey, let's get into a different non-weed conversation. Although
because I was trying to come up with a good name for blow pops, except so weeds. So
at least it's not blow pops.
At least it's not blow.
No, there's like blow. That. Instead of gum in the center, it's a nice little cakey powder.
Although talking about weed might be better, but how about Why the Lost Man?
Yeah.
I gotta hand it to them though. This most recent episode,
last episode, the 10th,
which was hands down the best episode of the entire fucking season.
Yeah, it was. It wrapped shit up, and people that you wanted to die died. So you're like, yeah.
But the thing is, though, no, not yet. Only one.
Not the one you think. Yeah.
You shouldn't take 10 episodes to hit your stride.
No, you shouldn't. You should not. Yeah.
I think I'm too far back.
It was so slow. The whole season.
I must have given up on.
I'll
go back and
saying
check
that Diane Lane is still a fucking smoke show.
She's always been a smoke show.
Oh my God, she's hot.
Didn't you talk about her on the last episode?
Probably did.
I think you did.
But you get to see her in not just relaxed jeans and a t-shirt. This past episode, I'm like, God damn, she looks good.
It's weird when I go back and actually listen to our podcast because I both get cringy about things that I talk about, and I think fuck, I don't want to hear myself talk. But I listen to you guys more when I.
Oh fuck! She's only 56.
Yeah.
Oh shit! She doesn't look good for 56.
She's always. Oh, she doesn't look good. She thought she was older.
I thought she's way older than that. And I was like, God damn, she's like a gilf. But I guess she could still be a gilf.
She's The first movie I remember her from. Once you get
past 40, guys, just saying.
No, she looks fantastic.
The first movie I remember her from,
she looks amazing.
It was right there at that time when you're a young teenager and you start going, damn, she's hot. Was Judge Dredd, and you're just like, damn.
Oh right.
Yeah. I'm kind of going down a spiral of looking at pictures of Diane Lane.
Yeah.
So do yourself a favor. She's the fox. So, and hey, let's all raise a glass. I don't know.
But
Nick,
yeah,
drinking. I'm probably a little bit too far in, but go ahead.
Yeah, but the last episode was good because things happened that you wanted to happen. But then it's things like with the sister. When the field confrontation that happens, it's like, at what point do you not realize that you're in a cult? She didn't do it. You would think that she would do a 180, and she did just because it was her brother. But it's like, you're still wanting to be with this group who is clearly crazy, And I don't know. But it's
Are we talking about the Costco cult?
Yeah, the Costco cult. Yeah.
Okay. Mm-hmm.
And but I mean, I still give it a 5 out of 10, for the series. But
it's kind of it's probably going to end up being a what could have been, because by the time you get to the end of this season, there might be, I don't know. I already kind of hadn't caught up. I was just like, I don't know if I'll.
It's fucking terrible.
It's terrible. It's terrible.
It's really bad. It's canceled already.
Yep.
So it's definitely not going to be a season 2. So I'm assuming, do we have any idea how many episodes have been shot?
I think it's done.
It's done.
Yeah.
It's done.
I don't know if I don't even know if they pursued a season 2.
There's a whole setup there you missed.
I didn't realize it was actually not like that was a finale.
Yeah, I mean I think that's the finale. I think there's only 10 episodes.
Oh my god.
Like I told you, like it got canceled because it took FX so long because of COVID and everything else to actually start shooting. And then they only had like the name actors that would require money, like Diane Lane, for so many years. And then it's like after that, it's like anything. Like a show makes it past a certain point, you have a big balloon raise, and that's what was going to happen. And so it's like, oh, we can't afford to pay Diane Lane and all these other actors more money when there's only been one season. And so there's like, well, we're just going to pull the plug on it. And
that's it, man.
I was honestly worried, and based on Chris's name and my name, and the show artwork for this episode, but I was worried that something like that would have happened with Dune. So, because of all of the anticipation, the build up, they pushed back the release and all of these things with it that I was like, oh, is it even going to have a showing enough that they will go for a part 2, because really that's the payoff.
Part of me, even though I really enjoyed it watching it in the movie theaters, part of my back of my brain was just bugging the shit out of me that they had not announced it yet. They had now, but that part 2 had not been greenlit. I was like, why have you not already greenlit part 2? Because it would make, as long as the people know that it's greenlit, they'll go see it. So you're hurting yourself by not saying it's greenlit, because I don't want it to be one of those situations where they make the first half and then you're like, oh, that's it. It's like the Girl with the Dragon Tattoo. It's a trilogy, and the Swedish versions, they came out like a couple years before the US version. And the Swedish version is awesome. I mean, it's still subtitled, but you need to watch it. And then they only made the first book of the American one, and then they just didn't make it. Like, well, Steve, fuck you. So just watch the Swedish version. If anyone remembers those movies, they came out like a decade ago, but they're good.
Yeah, they're good.
Very, very adult, but they're good.
So Dune.
Dune's awesome.
It was good, man. Like, I enjoyed it. I did fall asleep watching it.
I straight up did, and let me tell you, I was so excited to watch Dune. I've been so busy. I've been so busy. Like, this came out at a time in which, like, I wanted to see this in a movie theater. I wanted to be able to take time.
Chris, did you see it in theater?
So, God damn it, you got me ready to put food in my mouth. Sorry.
I'll go ahead and just finish what I'm going to say about that, which is that, again, I'm a huge fan of the original Dune, as most people know and like to make fun of me about. Fan of the book, and fan of the sci-fi series version. Okay, so I enjoy this story, I enjoy these characters, and I was so looking forward to this. Really wanted to see this in theaters, but I've been so busy with everything going on with my work, and it's just a lot of endless nights for me. And so I would even get home just exhausted, like my body is beaten, and I'm like, okay, I can't watch this because I know I'm going to fall asleep and I'm just not going to enjoy it. So finally I carved out a night. I'm like, tonight's the night. I'm doing it. I'm doing it. And of course, like, and I knew it too, because I was like, the first hour of the story of Dune is kind of boring. Aside from like Paul having the test of being human, it's a lot of setup. It's a lot of like chess pieces moving, and I think that's where
it's
Dune...
really fucking boring.
Yeah, it's dense.
And
that's why I think it lends itself honestly more to a TV show than it does to a movie. Now, I know the director has always wanted to make this. He's had his own personal quest to make this movie. A lot of different directors have wanted to make a version of Dune, everybody from Peter Jackson to Ridley Scott. So it's a revered, I think, sci-fi story. So seeing it come to life, I thought it was odd that like they did take certain cues from the 1984 version, like with some of the styles, or like maybe they pulled from some of those original H.R. Geiger like concept art or something like that.
You didn't see Sting?
Well, there was apparently he was going to make a cameo.
Oh,
in this, but they never had Fade. So spoilers. We're getting into Dune here territory, but there was no Fade in this book, part 1, which I was kind of surprised because in the first part of the book, he's at least introduced as like the Baron's favorite nephew. You know, you have the 2 nephews kind of fighting for his attention. So to Chris's point, yes, it is dense and it is slow and it is easy to fall asleep.
It's not even dense. It's actually not dense at all.
Yeah,
the first half, it's just so like fucking like I don't even know how to describe it.
Yeah, the way I describe it to most people is like just think of it like Fellowship of the Ring. It's just all set up for something that's going to come later and then just ends abruptly.
Yeah,
but that's where I think of it as Game of Thrones.
Yeah,
because the whole season 1 of Game of Thrones is kind of like this, like even the whole aspect of the Stark being called in to do something that he knows that is a trap, you know, that whole aspect, and I just feel it's kind of a riff off of Dune. So and it's not really until I think the last hour of Dune, you know, like you get an hour and a half into it and then you're like, okay, now like fucking shit's happening. We're into the desert and we're into the Dune we're into the part on which the movie is titled for.
Miami Mike says they need some lightheartedness or humor in Dune. That's actually interesting because there literally is zero.
There's none. And there's none of the book either.
It's dry as fuck dialogue.
Yep. It is not. Yeah.
Well, I mean, to me, like
the closest to it, though. I mean, there's a couple of glimmers, and that was with Jason Momoa.
Yeah.
Right.
Mm-hmm. Sure.
Like in his character of being like busting his balls for not having any muscle on him or whatever. Like, and there was like that glimmers of like humanity in the show,
and that's how it is in the book. Honestly.
Yeah.
Like the book is dense with a lot of formality in it, and then there's a lot of thoughts and inner workings. I think it's a lot more, and maybe that's where I say that it's dense, because it comes from dense material where there is a lot there that any director has to diffuse and kind of like get to like the bare bones of. So
So Nick, to answer your question from earlier, I saw it in the theater.
Oh, you did? Okay.
Fell asleep in the theater.
Wow.
Yeah. Well, because I had reclining seats.
Oh, well, so did I. That's what I'm saying. Like, I saw it in I saw it in one of those nice theaters because this is a movie that I wanted to see in the theater. So it was one of those leather, the feet came up. And what made it spectacular for me, because you're right, it's boring as shit. It's long. But the visuals on a big ass screen, and then the sound system that's in this theater, I mean, everything was just rattling the entire time. So like I could feel everything. Like whenever the worm's coming up from the ground, you're sitting there feeling it coming up. I'm like, this, and that's why I enjoyed it. It's kind of like when Gravity came out with Sandra Bullock. When I saw it in the theater, when the 3D was still like the fad, I loved it in the theater. When it came on TV, I hated it because it's just like, what is this crap?
Right.
So yes, I went. I saw it in the theater. I fell asleep, and I actually woke up like in the third, the third act, and I was like, "Fuck it, I'm leaving." Like, nothing against the movie. I was like, I just blacked out for like the last 15, 20 minutes. I missed a lot. I'm leaving. And what's cool about that is it's on HBO. So I was able to just kind of like pick it up again and kind of start halfway through it and watch it. Which is kind of cool to be able to do that. But overall, the movie is pretty cool. Like, I mean, it looks beautiful. The sound is amazing. There was a visual effect that I think is so subtle that if you blink, you miss it. But it is how the Space Guild navigates between one world to the next. And I think for both of you watching it on the big screen, I think it translates better than if you watch it on your TV. But basically the Space Guild, their ships are kind of like this egg-like shape that has a hole through it, right? Mm-hmm. And as they travel from one point in space to the other point in space. And you visually see that through their spaceship. It's something that
isn't really talked about or discussed. In the books, they get into the whole spacing guild, and they have those navigators. But in the movie, they kind of take all of that out and they just show it to you, and you visually just have to like understand exactly what's happening in that moment. And I thought it was like a really subtle, thing. There's some aspects that they included in the movie, like that I was just like that are from the book, like the whole bull's head and the whole matador and the relationship to like the old Atreides, And I think, as you pointed out, Nick, like, or mentioned, I think to us in the private chat, like, well, this is like it's a good setup.
Yes.
Because like all of the falling action and all of the second half, there's some really large major moments that are going to happen to the characters.
I'd tell you one thing that made it bearable for me is because I tend to view most sci-fi through Star Wars, and knowing that George Lucas borrowed a lot from Dune to write Star Wars, in my brain, I was kind of picturing this as Star Wars. Like, oh, so this planet is Kessel, and they're mining spice. And instead of having like, systems like this, like what if in Star Wars you had families that were really powerful, and like the Emperor's trying to eliminate them so he can consolidate his power. I was like, and so like I'm thinking of it this way. So in my brain, the whole time I'm watching it, I'm thinking of like how a story could go in different ways.
And like, so tell me, in the book, is the Baron depicted in the same physical presence?
Hey, whoa! Hey, there's Jack.
Are you in a fucking hotel?
Looks like it. Yeah,
I'm at the happiest place on earth.
You're in Disney World, and you have better internet than Nick.
I know he doesn't.
It's DisneyNet. It's the best.
DisneyNet.
Nice. So in the book, is he depicted in the same physical form?
A fat floating man, yes.
Apparently,
the floating thing threw me way off. Like, I was
it gets even deeper in the fact that, like,
dude, what is this shit?
Wait, hold on. Did I jump in just in time for Dune talk?
Yeah, you did. You jumped in time for Dune. And then Jack, sorry, we just lost Jack.
That just turned off.
You thought we were going to be talking about the World Series, didn't you?
No, I didn't. I just thought I'd pop on for a second and see how.
Well, how are you doing, Jack? You tell us about. We'll pause the Dune talk.
I just wanted to say Nick's song tonight was the best one ever.
Did it for you, Jack.
Thanks, I appreciate it. I didn't hear it, but it's the best one ever.
Now that we're all together now.
Yeah, we just survived our first day at Disney World.
And did you go to Disney World, or are you just in the hotel?
No, we went to Disney. We went to Disney World? Magic Kingdom.
You went to Magic Kingdom, yeah. Okay.
Yeah, tomorrow we're going to Hollywood Disney. Yeah. Hollywood Disney tomorrow.
How is Hollywood Disney different than the Magic Kingdom?
Yeah.
Just they have different rides.
I've never heard of Hollywood Disney.
It's a scam. They have different rides at different parks instead of having one place, so you have to pay for more stuff.
I mean, is Hollywood Disney MGM, or is there still MGM?
No, it's I guess it's Hollywood Disney because Disney has its own production, right?
Okay. Well, I mean, it used to be. I mean, last time I went was '93. So, I mean, it used to be Magic Kingdom, MGM, and Epcot. That was the three that you did.
No, it's right now. It's Magic Kingdom, Epcot, Animal something, and I forget the other one. Hollywood Disney. Is there 4 or 5? 4. I don't know. I've just been basically what everyone says.
So where are you staying, Jack?
You need to go to this.
We're at the
Dolphin.
No,
the Dolphin.
I've stayed at the Dolphin.
There's a place called the Dolphin.
Yeah, there really is a place called the Dolphin.
They sell paper.
Fuck! They're treading in on my territory here.
No, it's Pop Century.
Pop Century.
We're in the 50s. We're listening to 50s music. Yeah.
Pop Century.
Yeah. That's what it's called.
I'm not even shitting you. I actually have a friend of mine who's at your hotel right now.
Oh, really?
Cool.
Yeah.
What's his name? I'll look him up.
It's
her
a
name is
small
Nicole.
world after all.
I think Nicole is visiting there with her mom.
This was only $20, but you get unlimited drinks.
Soda.
I've had 2 so far.
Is there a hole in it, or is it just a green section?
I think that's the green screen. No.
Yeah.
What is going on? Did you pick away at it?
Underneath the lid, looks like
green
there's a hole.
skies or something. I don't know.
It's the green screen's reacting.
It's weird because I also have a friend. It's another Glatfelter. I don't know if you know them or not. So,
you know someone named Glatfelter?
Yeah, they're also there at the same place at the same time. Yeah, it's so weird.
What are the odds?
Yeah, what are the odds? No, but we had 2 young kids today, and they did fantastic.
Oh wait,
that's awesome.
It's just day one, Jack.
So wait, you're still having to take care of the kids?
Yeah.
Is that why you had to go? You're the babysitter.
They brought me just so I could take care of the kids. Yes.
Yeah.
John, the retired UPS guy, wants to know: are you in a toilet, Jack?
No, I'm close.
Okay.
I'm on the bed. Well, I'm sitting on a chair, but the bed's at the end, and this is the vanity area, whatever you want to call it.
Oh, okay. Yeah. Okay.
It's very bright.
Yeah, well, I could get up and turn off the light, but my feet are killing me.
Got it.
Yeah, I was wondering how your feet were doing. Pretty tired.
Yeah, walked a lot today.
Yeah.
No, you weren't.
I wasn't walking a lot today?
No, you weren't worried about how his feet were doing, Matt.
Oh, okay.
No, I did. I thought about it. I honestly did. It had crossed my mind earlier.
I really hope Jack's feet are treating him well.
No, I was like,
fuck.
My legs and my feet have been bothering me a lot lately, so I think about
mine have been too.
When you get in your 50s, that happens.
My age.
Well, I went and got my booster shot this week. This past week.
Booster.
Well, how did you get it?
I just went on to CVS.com and said, "Give me a booster shot."
As long as it's been 8 months since your second
6
shot,
months.
so you can get
6 months.
Okay,
I thought you had to be a certain age or certain.
No,
there goes Nick just spreading his disinformation.
When they started, when they started the booster shots, it was for the group of people who were at high risk, and it was essentially the first group of people that got it the first round. But then they opened it up to 6 months since your last. So I got that, and I felt every joint in my body the next day.
No doubt.
It sucked. And it's even like a half dose too. So I was like, man, imagine if it was a full one. But it sucked.
That's what she said.
I was gonna say this for next week, but since I'm here, the rules here at Disney World is you have to wear a mask on the rides or in any ride that's inside.
Really?
But when you're walking around the park outside, you don't have to wear a mask. I said, you're literally probably more crammed walking around the park than you are on the rides. But
sure.
But I'm like going, I don't know how people in the summertime, because summertime, I think they had to wear masks. You had to wear a mask all the time.
And the logic behind a lot of that stuff is just dumb. Like I went to see the Avalanche play the Las Vegas Knights a week ago, and the whole time you're entering the stadium, the whole time you're walking, through the hallways to get to your seat at the concession stands, you have to wear the mask. But once you sit down, when you're literally jammed beside people, you can take the mask off. It's like, I'm more crammed now than I am.
Yeah, I go, what's the point of having to wear the mask when you're going on the rides as opposed to walking around the park?
Yeah, on the rides, you'd be moving.
Yeah.
I exhaled.
And they're very strict because Cindy got yelled at.
Oh.
We were getting food and she had her mask dangling from her ear. She got to put it on.
Oh,
and the guy comes over and goes, "Hey, put on your mask."
Wow.
I go, "No, that's not Disney magic."
It's not the happiest place on earth.
No, but they don't put up. If you don't have your mask on, they get on you. But if you're on like Jungle Cruise, you don't have to wear a mask.
Oh yeah, because the rock.
It's outdoor. Even though you're literally sitting next to someone right.
Like you can catch malaria and yellow fever and a lot of stuff on that ride because you're in the jungle.
Exactly. And they've changed it all around. They still have backside of water, but everything else has changed.
The only thing I ever remember about that ride, I remember the hippos popping up, and I remember the rhino with the 3 guys going up the pole.
That's changed because it wasn't PC.
How is that not PC?
Well,
the rhino is pretty phallic, Nick. Think about it.
Okay.
And the hippo is like totally feminine.
Well,
They fart through the mouth, you know.
Well, I would go in, but I don't want to sound like a racist. I would explain why it wasn't PC. But
it's pretty good to just kind of.
It's pretty easy, says Matt.
Yeah.
Cocaine hippos. I don't know what you're smoking there, Randy.
You got a lot of energy, man.
Randy's back with
the cocaine hippos is a reference to what's his El Chapo's hippos that he had down in Mexico. No, El Chapo. Who's El
Chapo?
Colombia.
No, not Chapo.
Colombia.
Who's the guy that fucking
Colombia?
Colombo.
Yeah. What's his name? Pablo
Escobar.
Escobar.
He had a bunch of like cocaine in like enraged hippopotamus.
I just started season 4 of Narcos. It's Narcos Mexico season.
Oh, never mind.
It's the second season Narcos Mexico.
Nice.
And I was joking the other day. I said, because I'm watching it, and even though most of it is in Spanish, I kept turning up the sound using the captions. I go, why am I doing this?
You're that guy.
Why can't I make the captions louder?
Before I forget, Matt, you might enjoy this book. So a lot of people, it's hard to find, but a lot of people, George R. R. Martin, when he was starting, he tended to rip off other artists or writers. And so Sand Kings came out in 1980, which is kind of his version of Dune.
Interesting.
Just like how Night Flyers, which was another novella he wrote, is a ripoff of Alien. But like when he's young, starting off in his career, he was just kind of doing what was popular at the time. So Sand Kings by George R. R. Martin is.
So what you're saying is that somebody else needs to write the final Lord of the Rings, or not Lord of the Rings. What the fuck is it?
Game of Thrones.
Game of Thrones book.
Song of Ice and Fire.
So then he can copy it. So then it can get printed.
Well, I mean, you look. You even look. Yeah,
it's on screen.
Yeah, it's on screen. It's horrible. But yeah, you even look at A Song of Ice and Fire, which is Game of Thrones. Like all he's doing is kind of retelling the War of the Roses, and adding in medieval stuff in there.
And he's basically ripping off James Taylor.
So War of the Roses was with Kathleen.
How'd you know? Yeah,
Kathleen Turner and Michael Douglas.
Michael Douglas, right? Yeah.
Excellent movie, by the way. I just want to say one more thing before I go. I finished Squid Games. Thanks for Matt and Nick. Did you? No, Matt and Nick.
So
was it you, Chris? Did you?
No. All right. So what? I
never ever
it hit
ever
me
get
after
credit.
that. So. Yeah. Chris had in his name that episode Squid something. And so then Matt and I both said, Chris must have watched Squid Game.
Yeah.
And that's how it got started.
Yeah, because I sent out a Facebook message. Wasn't sure. I wasn't trying to be a dick, but I said I wasn't sure.
It was a really dickish move.
Yeah, who gave credit? I wanted to give credit because I know Matt turned us on to Ted Lasso.
That's true.
And
I did not. That was all I got right there.
Or was it Nick? I can't remember. I think
Jack, you're like the fucking Jose Altuve of this podcast. Everybody fucking hates you.
I'm about the same size, so I might be actually I'm shrinking. I might be the same size, but I enjoyed it. I enjoyed it a lot. I think Nick and I talked a little bit about it on the Facebook. I figured out one plot line fairly early into
the brother
thing. Yeah, it just made sense. Yeah,
I did not. That actually kind of surprised me.
I confirmed it when he was looking through the record books.
Yeah,
and he couldn't find the brother. I said, okay, that's definitely him.
Yeah,
and I still think he's alive.
Yeah, I think for sure. But it makes me curious about, and I hope they address it in season 2. Is how did the staff, all the circles and squares and triangles, how did they get recruited? And then why did the brother, do what he did? Like, why did he take the job? So it's like things like that,
So for me, when I was watching that moment, I thought, for some reason in my mind, the undercover agent was going to somehow kill him and take on that mask.
Good, yeah.
Almost like a Luke Skywalker, Darth Vader kind of thing. Like what could have been, like Like
well,
he was going
he kept
to
kind of going up in
status,
he
did. I mean, seriously, like as you watched it, he kept like stealing another mask, and he just kept running with the masks. So, totally a show not for kids.
No.
Kids should not be watching. Well, no. I mean,
most adults probably shouldn't watch it.
I had my grandkids watch it because I said, well, it's games kids play. But
see, this is the thing though. Like, there's a lot of kids though that are in middle school, and then like my son, you know, he was just like, what, kids are talking about this thing, and I'm like, okay, first of all, the kids shouldn't be watching this, and then I'm explaining to him what's in it that's awful, and I basically just told him the plot. I'm like, okay, this is what's going on, you know, and this is why people are.
I forget what country it is. Of course, the whole cookie game has caught on all over the world. People are playing that one, but there is one country though where the schools had to crack down because the kids were playing the actual Squid Game.
Oh, wow!
Where they were just knocking each other out on the playground. You know?
Well, at least they weren't shooting them.
Yeah. But, that was the very first scene you see is them playing it, with the square and the triangle and all that, where you have to like force and hit each other to keep from going.
Yeah. But I really enjoyed it. And the person at the end, you're thinking, okay, he's unredeemable.
Mm-hmm.
The whole, because he's a terrible father. He lives off his mom. He's just a terrible person. He's got a gambling problem. Mm-hmm. At the end, you're like going, all right, he sold me. He's not the but he had redemption.
Yeah. Well, that's where Chris and I talked about last week, week before last, is that the last 20 minutes of the show frustrates you a little bit because you went from not liking the main character to liking the main character to all of a sudden you're thinking there like, oh, now he's going to make it right with his daughter. He's going to make it right with his ex-wife. Right. And then he pulls a John Wick moment where you're like, he doesn't quite go, I'm coming for you. I'm coming for all of you. But like, it's like, what are you doing? Like, no. Like,
and I guess something else too. I don't want to spoil anyone's listening, but the who was number one? I knew
that I had kind of suspected from like, I don't know, like episode 1 or 2. So I was like,
one of the things I love about the show is just it's a complete mind fuck, from front to back, inside and out. Because you're thinking about it, right? You're watching this show about this crazy fucking high stakes game of kids games in which where people die. But then there's people who sit in a room and watch them and bet on certain levels of the game. And it's just like this sadistic, like people finding entertainment in watching other people die, right?
You're complicit to the same
and then
thing.
You realize I'm sitting on my fucking couch watching Netflix watch these people fucking die. That's kind of fucked up.
Well, I
was like, oh my god, this is really weird.
Well, like you said, it does have some moral, where you see the players are having to survive. They have to, like the one guy that outwits the one guy who they were friends.
Oh yeah.
They become friends, and he tricks him so he can live.
Yeah.
And he gets killed. I mean,
there was an interview with that guy who he said that scene to him is what he based his character off of, even though it's later in the season. He said it's the moral of his character is just because you're a good person doesn't mean people will treat you good. And he goes, that's why like his character is very lighthearted and innocent, is because like he's that guy, and it's sad and what happens to him.
But I did enjoy it. I thought it was a good. I'm glad you guys recommended it, Nick and Matt, because I really did enjoy it. But I didn't watch it with the captions. I watched it with the dubbing. I guess I should have watched it with both.
It's weird that you thank us for that, but not only Murders in the Building. Like that you're
that was Chris.
No, it was not.
That was Matt.
Yes, but I think that's basically all I got to say. Thought there was something else. I'm glad my Patriots beat the Chargers this week.
Well, you're still jumping on that bandwagon.
How
can you?
Wait, the Patriots actually won a game?
Yeah, they're actually pretty good.
We're not that bad.
They got a good young quarterback.
I mean, yeah, you're not like the Colts that lost to the Titans.
Oh my God! Fuck that game! Fuck that game! Fuck that game!
And Derrick Henry was out. He's out for the season.
He's out of the season, yeah.
Fuck the coach for going for it on 4th and something. Fuck Carson Wentz. Like, fuck the whole game.
Carson, what someone said, Carson Wentz will find a way to screw things. You see that play where he.
Just when you think he is the Lucy of quarterbacks, you're like, just when you think like, oh, I might like him, he's like, nope.
He's a good quarterback, but he has a 2-cent head.
He does.
And
he does.
That's what it is.
Yep, it is. I mean, I had to just kind of like, but yeah, kind of, you hate it when your Sunday goes bad, when you're like, yeah, I'm loving the, and then I was like, oh, this is going into overtime. This is kind of fun. But they had that game.
When you don't have a team, when you don't have a team anymore, Sundays are more relaxing.
Oh,
you know what else is more relaxing? A commercial break.
Oh, let's
break
wait.
Me up a piece of that.
Sherry wanted us to way better.
We're done, Sherry.
Since we got asked earlier and we didn't address it, did anyone watch Apple TV's? I think it's Apple Invasion.
I have not yet watched it yet. No.
Oh yeah, Chris Doran had mentioned that earlier.
Yeah, Chris Doran.
So.
Hey, I have not watched it because it only got a 41% rating on Rotten Tomatoes. So I went, I'm not going to give it a chance.
Bye, Jack. Thanks for joining us.
Jack. Yeah.
Thanks,
See
guys.
you next week.
See you next week. Bye, everybody.
Have fun.
Is it weird that like my internet worked well when Jack was on? Like, was I picking up some of the Disney internet? I was kind of curious about Invasion, but like I said, it got a 41% rating on Rotten Tomatoes. So I went,
Wait,
and then
I thought there was another sci-fi show on.
No,
Apple
that's
TV.
Foundation. We'll get to that one in a minute.
Okay.
Which is
too many shuns.
Such a fucking blend in with Dune. It's ridiculous.
Foundation.
Yeah.
I could not break through Foundation.
Yeah, exactly. Like Foundation to me is one of those shows that I enjoy, but I assume it's based off of a book, and it's because it's shot like a book. It's too structured in like, here's clearly a section of a book, here's another section of a book, and it's pulling teeth at times for me. I enjoy it, but it's not like I'm never gonna go, fuck, you need to watch Foundation. No one. But
it's actually based off of a trilogy of books by Isaac Asimov.
Okay.
David Goyer.
Oh yeah, David Goyer. Mm-hmm. Sure.
Oh, I didn't know that shit. Okay. All right. David Goyer.
So just to circle back around to our other discussion about Dune, you were asking about the floating fat man, if that was like legit in the book. It was. That's how his character is.
Man, I hate that.
Yeah. I actually didn't like how they did Vladimir Harkonnen, or they call him. They had a different way of pronouncing Harkonnen. So Harkeen or something like that. They pronounced it differently than what I'm used to. But it's interesting too, because in the book they're designated by their red hair. And in this, they're bald. All of them are bald, except we haven't seen Fade. They didn't introduce Fade. So
Sting's a killer. So
yeah, I assume that like we're going to get some of those aspects. There was a gender change with the planetologist who was played by a woman in this version, which it's fine. I mean, in the book, that character ends up being the father of Chani, or Chaney, depending on how you pronounce the name of her. I thought it was interesting that they really played this heavy beat where he keeps seeing this vision of her, and really in the book, like it's not like haunting him like a vision that he always sees her. He does see the vision of like him fighting the guy and battling Jameis, and in the book, he actually, because he kills Jameis, like Jameis had bested somebody else, and so it's like Paul inherits like these two children and a wife basically as a servant. Like he doesn't take her as a wife, but it's interesting because it's like, and I don't know if that'll happen in the next part or not, like how deep or how close they'll follow the book. It would be interesting just because it's like he himself, you know, I mean, who they got to play Paul and Cheney is just like, I mean, they're gorgeous people. So they could breed and have the Cuisinart Satarak like those two.
What I thought was interesting is how much marketing played into this movie, because you had things like these actors' names like fucking Dave Bautista, right?
Yeah,
you had names like Jason Momoa, and you had
Oscar Asimov,
and
no wait, that's Isaac Asimov.
Yeah.
Oscar
Isaac.
I was combining the two. Go
and
ahead.
then you had
Zendaya, yeah.
And then Javier, yeah.
Of which, and Javier Bardem,
Yeah.
right? Of which they're all in the movie for less than 5 minutes.
Yeah.
I was like,
and God knows what they got paid.
I know.
Well,
I know.
And Momoa's character dies. So
yeah, well,
sorry,
spoiler alert, dude.
We're spoilers.
Well, the character that the character that really blew my mind was Bran. I forget his name. Bran, slash Thanos. That guy.
Yeah.
It's like, why would you take that role? I mean, that one was the one that was really like,
No, okay. I'm sorry. It's just because I know so much about Dune and I know these characters and I know what happens to them. So I don't mean to jump into, but his character though. So again, more spoilers.
Is he still alive?
Yeah, I think he's still alive because you never saw him actually die.
Right.
Yes, he is still alive, and he plays another part in the second. Like he'll play a part in the second book for sure.
Cool. Then that answers my question.
Yeah. But Momoa's character.
Yeah, no shit.
He's gone.
As well as the planetologist, which, by the way, again,
who was the planetologist?
She was the woman that got that was going to ride the worm, but then they shot her, and then she did the thump. That one.
Yep.
Okay, so slight spoilers, but as this ties to the book, it's what bonds Cheney or Chani, however you pronounce her. It's what bonds Cheney and Paul together is that the fact that they both lost their fathers and they're kind of going through this mourning together. And then now they've changed it where it's going to be your mother. I assume that they'll maybe pull in that aspect, maybe not. So
what's the main kid actor's name?
Chalamet.
Timothy, whatever.
Chalamet.
Yeah, Timothy. Mm-hmm.
What made this kid popular and / a successful actor sex symbol? Because I just don't see it.
Nope.
I saw him.
He's the next Kyle MacLachlan, guys.
I don't. He's just like someone. The best meme I've seen of him ever was a picture of an elven shoe. Like a Christmas elf shoe.
Okay.
And said, I don't know what it is, but this shoe makes me think of Timothy, whatever his name is. And I thought that was hilarious because he does look like a shoe. And I went and saw The French Dispatch because I'm a huge Wes Anderson fan, and he's in it too. And I'm like, I just don't get this kid. I just don't. But does anyone that know?
Apparently, he's going to be. I think also the next Willy Wonka. There were spoiler images.
The 71 version is perfect. Don't touch it. They've already ruined it once.
I think this is supposed to be like a prequel. They're doing something like what they did with the Oz story. You know what I'm saying? Like where they took
like
Oz,
a prequel.
like,
yeah.
I think it's kind of like, how did Wonka get his start?
It's a prequel.
My favorite random ass theory I've ever heard was
raced pod.
No, Chris. What's the name? Snowpiercer. Mm-hmm. Snowpiercer is a sequel to Willy Wonka. That's one of the greatest theories I've ever read in my life.
Yeah, it's good.
It's so good.
I love it. I hope that'd be amazing if it was true.
Would that be the kid? Would that be Charlie?
Yeah, Charlie is the train developer.
Conductor.
Okay. Yeah, because that's why the W is still there for Wonka, but it's not really him. And then you look at the process and the money and everything goes into it. It's like, that makes total sense. It's so cool. Like, it's just an interesting theory. So yeah, for anyone out there who's a Wes Anderson fan, I love him. Rushmore, Tenenbaums, Life Aquatic. There's so many that he's done. They're all this one. Grand Budapest Hotel was his last major film. He did Fantastic Mr. Fox. I kept thinking he can't top Grand Budapest Hotel. Grand Budapest
especially the prequel with
GPH.
Yeah, but this one is I applauded him for taking a risk with this one because it's basically 3 short stories in one film, and they do have some humor and some interesting things that happen in them. But the overall message of the movie, the overall message of the movie is a bit lost on the audience to me. But I still enjoyed it, and I still recommend watching it. But it's not if you're going in there expecting Moonrise Kingdom or Grand Budapest, you're going to be disappointed. But it is good. It's just different. Anyway, but I wanted to put
what movie I saw today?
Sure, go ahead.
Addams Family 2.
Awesome. Oh, the cartoon. Never mind.
Yeah, it was a daddy-daughter day today because my kids' schools, town schools are out for election day. So,
nice.
It's like a professional development day at the schools, so the kids get to stay home. So my daughter went and got her flu shot, and she was brave to do that because she's super, super, super afraid of needles.
Oh my gosh!
Got her flu shot done, and then
by the way,
we went to the movie.
I got a flu shot just the other day. Fucker hurt.
Yeah,
hurt worse than the actual COVID vaccine. COVID vaccine was just like you hardly notice it.
To be fair, you only had the Johnson & Johnson. So.
Yeah, it's like say, can I get the third best
option?
Thanks, guys. Thanks a lot. So I've been debating though. Your wife got the J&J.
She did. Yeah. And she's getting a Moderna booster shot next week.
See, I've been debating do I get the booster with something else?
Yeah.
Do I make
no? There's no debate in that. Like it's actually proven. That if you get the Moderna, better. it's literally 80 times stronger than getting another J&J.
Okay. You've convinced me.
Yeah, just do it.
One last thing I wanted to mention because where are we at? Hour 11. Another show I watched, which was good, I gave it a 7 out of 10, was on Netflix called Made. M-A-I-D.
Oh yeah, I had heard about this Made.
Yeah, it's really good.
Is it on Netflix? Right?
It's on Netflix. Yeah, and it's Andy McDowell. Is it McDowell? Her daughter's the main star, and she's in it as well. Her mother, and it's basically it hits a little close to home for I know a couple of girls I know because they have married abusive husbands and their struggle to get out of that.
Okay.
But it is an interesting series for sure. And basically what it is a woman who got pregnant, by a boyfriend, and he's verbally abusive, and she leaves him. And then the struggle of her not, having a college degree, not being educated, not having any work skills, like how hard it is for her to make it. And the struggles that any single mom has of do I go back to my abusive husband and, be financially okay, but in that hell, or what do I do? And so it's a lot of yo-yoing in the series of fuck, what's going, so it's good, but it's just it's different. There's only one episode I did not like, and of the 10, and I won't spoil it, but it's worth a watch.
She's finally free.
No, it's episode 7. It's because they
Chris.
So there's a character in the second or third episode that's briefly introduced, and he comes back in later, and he's totally friend zoned, and it's one of those
real thing, boys and girls.
It's one of those episodes or characters where you're like, why did you write this character into the show at all? Because it's like here's a good guy, who's just trying to help this person, and she's being the asshole in this situation. It's like, and so it's like just don't even put him in the show.
But I mean, I don't know. I haven't seen the show, but I would say that there's definitely a little bit of that element of being the good guy that's trying to help out, but then
never works.
It never works. Yeah, that's the thing. Is that
moral of the story, everybody?
Don't be a good guy. Be an asshole. Just come in.
Either ignore it. Well,
be
time
more
out.
abusive than the
Disclaimer.
last person?
Disclaimer. Except in the case of any verbal or physical abuse of a woman, don't
Thank you.
be the good
Thanks
guy.
for clarifying.
You do be the good guy. But
like,
in every other situation, don't be the good guy. It doesn't work.
Yeah, it doesn't work. It's like
Thanks for clarifying that. I've had a lot to drink.
It wasn't a great movie, but there's a movie called Love and Other Drugs with Jake Gyllenhaal in it, where he works for Pfizer. I don't know if you guys ever saw it. It's pretty good.
Huh?
Pretty good
No.
There's a scene in it early in the film where
Pre-COVID.
It's way like it's probably a 10-year-old movie.
It's about Viagra, right?
It's about Viagra. When Viagra first came out, he's like the guy who starts selling it to make money. But there's a scene early in the movie where he's like under another salesman and is smoking hot. Actually, the blonde from Vikings when she was younger. She walks by in front of him. He goes, "Hey, Lisa," and she just kind of looks at him like, "Who the fuck are you?" And then Oliver Platt's the other guy. He goes, "Her name's not Lisa." He goes, "I know that." He goes, "But every time she walks by, and I say, 'Hey, Lisa,' eventually she's going to come by and say, 'My name's not Lisa.' And then I'll make a whole argument of like, 'Oh, I'm so sorry, blah, blah, blah. You look like a girl I used to date named Lisa, and I never called her back.' So in her brain, she thinks, 'Oh my God, this guy dated a girl that's as good looking as me.' And then she'll yearn for my approval. And it's like, and then all it's like, yeah, he's being a total dick, but all Platt's like, damn, like the mind fuck to think that way to get a girl is like, damn, and so that's like, but the whole movie is interesting. It's not a classic or anything, but it's an interesting perspective of like how Viagra took off, and it's a different movie.
Rose shot up to new heights, yeah.
Well, on that note, we could go.
Did
extra
you even
long.
get that joke?
What?
No one got that joke.
Me? Huh?
I got no reactions whatsoever.
I was finishing my thought, and then I heard it, and I missed like the first part.
No,
the delivery was not
rising
perfect.
to new heights.
Yeah, there you go. Got it.
Oh,
that was funny.
Just so you know, 30% of all men over 40 have erectile dysfunction. Or it's probably more than that, but so I don't know. No, God knows what it's like for Matt at his age.
Yeah, what's your percentage, Matt?
Yeah.
Huh?
You have a higher percentage?
Yeah.
Way higher. To what?
It's all right, man.
You know what? This show is 50% more likely to end early when Jack is not around. He is the actual Viagra that keeps this show going longer and gets the stamina going a lot harder.
But it never goes 4 hours though.
Does Viagra make the show go longer, or does the Viagra just ensure the show happens?
It's just harder.
All right.
Real question. I don't know. I've never had to take it.
Good question. Good.
It is like
seriously, if you keep talking, I'm just gonna leave.
Shut up, Matt. It is funny though. Like I remember 10 years ago going hunting with some of my dad's friends, and like I remember them talking about the first time they took Viagra because they're all in their 60s. And they're all like, "Oh my God, I took this pill. The doc gave it to me. Holy shit!" So that fucker was like, their excitement about taking this pill, after 20, 30 years of just kind of being just like limp, somewhat hard, but not full.
Like, not gonna lie to you,
it's like life changing.
I don't need it.
Yeah.
But I kind of want to try it
just to see what happens. I totally get it. I totally get
curious.
It. Yeah. It's like I've got friends down closer to Denver, and I don't know why they hit me up, but they're like, "Nick, do you have any acid?" I'm like, "Yeah." and they're like,
and I don't know why they reach out to me. But
I don't know why they reach out to me, but they're like, "Well, we've got there's 3 of us down here, and we've never done it, and we kind of trust you, so we want to know if you have any. Like, would you recommend this? And like, how much should we take?" And they're like, okay, like I'm gonna give you some, and it's up to you. There you go.
So I meant to bring up a couple of shows I may or may not have mentioned it last week, but either way, here we go. So there's 2 shows that I watched on Netflix. Maybe it's a combination of HBO. One, I don't even fucking know what streaming service it was on, but it's a documentary about Nickelodeon called The Orange Years.
Oh, I don't know that one. Okay.
And it's fucking fantastic. So I forgot. Is it might have been? I don't even know it. Whatever. Check, Google it. But it's a really kick-ass documentary about how Nickelodeon started and how they started off this fledgling cable access company that had to fight for content because all the major content providers were all selling to broadcast media. They didn't want to join in the cable fray. But it shows like the progression of the station, of the programming, of the leadership, and how they really changed their focus on what they wanted to deliver for a product, and how it turned into what it is today. Complete trip down memory lane. If you're a child of the 80s, like Nick or I, or the 60s, like Matt, like you actually will really appreciate like a lot of the shorts that they kind of like bring back, and like you'll listen to and you'll watch, and all of a sudden you're gonna be like, I remember this fucking short like it was yesterday, or I can sing along with this jingle, and I know the words. It'll happen, and it's just a real it's a fucking delight to watch. And I've actually on my second watching, because I got my wife to start it with me. It's a really, really good documentary, and it makes you appreciate Nickelodeon a little bit more than maybe when you were a kid. In the Miami Mike in the chat says, what show is that? It's a documentary called The Orange Years. I forgot, like I don't know which streaming service it was on, but
I'm still confused of what Randy's going. The B&J was the best one. I'm like, what B&J?
The B&J.
What were we talking about at B&J?
Don't know.
Okay, maybe you can clarify that, Randy.
And then the second documentary I watched was Kid 90. Did I mention this one last week?
No.
So Kid 90, Soleil Moonfry, like when she was younger, in her preteen and teenage years, always had a camcorder on her, and she would film everything, of her in between, like, filming, Punky Brewster or whatever she was involved in, and kind of like hanging out and living the teenage life of somebody who's in a high profile actress at the time, and the company in which she held with all of her friends, also teen actors that we all know and used to know. But it's a really interesting documentary, kind of going through all of the stuff that she went through as a kid and the expectations that were put on her as a kid and growing up too fast, really. But what is interesting is like the documentary is about her like unearthing all these tapes that she had recorded years and years ago. And Sherry says The Orange Years is on Hulu. Thank you, Sherry. And what she quickly realizes as she's producing this documentary is that it was all these videotapes were such a call for help from like her friends and herself.
Yeah. I can see that. Yeah.
So like Jonathan Brandis leaving her voicemails saying that he really wanted to talk to somebody. Right? Like the kids from the movie Kids going through like a downward spiral after that movie was made. Like all of these awful stories that we might have slightly remembered because it was before the internet years, right? Of all these kids who were either dying from drugs or from suicide. So as like she's putting all these things together, she's like it turns into like a PSA, really, about making sure that everybody and around you is in a good place. But yeah, outstanding on both accounts. It definitely the latter kind of brings you down memory lane in a bit more of a sad way. Whereas The Orange Years is just completely reminiscent, and no, Mike, it has nothing to do with Donald Trump. But it kind of reminds to watch.
It reminds me of a thing we talked about a few weeks ago. The documentary Val about Val Kilmer, and same thing. He recorded everything from his childhood all the way to current. And it's interesting to see his son piece all that stuff together. But it also makes you really sad because you see Val Kilmer's current status, even though he says he looks and sounds worse than how he feels. But you're just like, damn, dude,
Yeah.
And don't smoke. And
so yeah, no.
How you doing, Chris?
I haven't. It's been what, 2 weeks now?
Yeah,
3 weeks, 2.5 weeks.
Wow, that's impressive because the last time we spoke was about 2 weeks ago. So
yeah, so the last we spoke was 2 weeks ago. That would have been.
That's right. We took a week off. Yeah,
that would have been the first week.
I actually have an email related to that show.
Let's hear it.
So we had a email that came in. Headline said, "LOL. That is so funny. You guys thought Chris was vaping weed the whole time. I just assumed common knowledge that it was nicotine. That would be so much weed. LOL, Riley."
But I mean, Riley, think about it. Chris is usually fairly quiet at the beginning of all the episodes, and the more he smokes, the funnier he gets. So it's like,
no, man, like that revelation also blew me away when you guys thought.
A day later, you texted us all. You were like,
you guys fucking thought that was weed? Like, Riley's right. If that was weed, I would be on a different fucking planet.
Oh my gosh!
No, that was I was in my nicotine vape. So when I consume marijuana, it's typically not smoked. I typically consume through edibles, or sometimes I do have a little bit of a vape action. What I'll use as well with either the concentrates. Easier, clean, no mess.
I should have known because I've actually at least seen the difference between the two. And when you do vape anything that's
it's
weed related, it's not a heavy cloud. And when you would actually vape nicotine, there'd be this kind of cloud.
Yeah, it would take over the screen.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So.
Yeah. That was nicotine, and it's been 2 or 3 weeks now since I've had it. And yeah. See,
so
you know what? Here's the thing.
We didn't ask though. Like, what was the drive to make you go? You know what? I'm quitting.
Well, because here's the real deal, right? So first and foremost, health, right? Mm-hmm. So nicotine on its own is not a terrible thing. It's a stimulant, a la caffeine, right? And when people. The negative association, justifiably so, is nicotine from cigarettes, which mean, the carcinogens and so forth and so on. So I wanted to quit because at the end of the day, vaping is less harmful than smoking a cigarette, no doubt, by like 100-fold. Not doing either is also significantly less harmful.
Right.
So, I mean, it's simple math, right? It's obviously not having it in my life is better. And
and good on you for doing it now.
Yeah, and my kids have never seen me do it.
Oh.
Ever. My daughter, I mean, I've been doing it for 8 years, I've been doing it had been doing it pretty much as long as my daughter's been around, because I was dipping before. And I remember my wife helped me quit dip by putting a picture of my daughter inside my tin.
Oh,
yeah, that was brutal, and it worked. Yeah, so it's for my kids, it's for myself, and it's just time, But here's the thing. I those are all the intrinsic benefits, no doubt. Like, right, obviously, not having nicotine is better than having nicotine. Having nicotine through vape is not nearly as bad as having nicotine through a cigarette. But the thing that pisses me off is that when you quit dipping or when you quit smoking, there is an immediate benefit felt, right? So better lung capacity, right? You can taste shit, right? Like, when you quit smoking, you all of a sudden can taste. And when you quit smoking, all of a sudden you're getting less sick, right? You quit dipping, you're going to have less fucking shit mouth, right? Like, like there's all these these tangible.
I want less shit mouth.
Like there's a lot of these tangible physical benefits that you experience and feel. You can breathe better, like all this stuff. After quitting vaping, you don't get any of those. because your breathing's not labored. Your sense of taste isn't gone. You're not feeling any different because of the vaping. Like there's actually no negatives. That's the one thing I'm actually gleaning from all of this is that while vaping there was no physical negative. So now that I'm not doing it, all that's left is just anger. So I'm not getting nicotine, right? So like it's just been kind of a.
That's what I'm here for,
quit.
buddy.
I understand it's obviously better to not do it at all than to do it healthily.
You should get you some high chews.
I should get some high chews. I should.
Have you tried spice?
But it's just a pain in the balls,
your
man.
vision, extend your life.
A pain in the balls. Like I obviously I know I'm in a better place for it, but like it's hard. It's tough.
Well, kudos for hanging in there with it. I mean, it's really a hard thing. I know when I quit smoking cigarettes, it was
nicotine's
really
awesome.
Yeah, I did the patch. So I slowly weaned myself off with the patch, and I did a lot of drinking of wine and smoking weed.
Yeah, see, what's crazy for me is that I've had like a healthy diet of nicotine for
half your life.
Yeah, I mean, often there's some off and on spots in there, but like before I vaped, I was definitely dipping. I dipped because I played rugby and I couldn't smoke and played rugby at the same time, where I would be fucking toast.
And you were dipping dots too.
Oh, wait. How do you dip and play rugby? Because like you can't swallow unless you're swallowing.
Not simultaneously.
Oh, okay.
I mean, like during rugby season, which was 2 seasons out of the year, we played spring and played fall. Okay. I couldn't smoke because if I smoked, I wouldn't be able to play.
Right.
Like it just. Yeah. But this is also 20 years ago.
It was a different time.
Like where I would be fucked up if I even tried to play. And that's when I started. That's when I got into dipping, and then after that, there's some off and ons of back and forth. But I mean, one way or another, there was nicotine, and then the vaping happened. Actually, it started like about 8 years ago, and it's been great. It's been awesome because it helped my lungs, it helped my mouth, it helped everything, and now I'm done with it. So go figure.
One last thing I want to talk about before we close, because I'm sure Matt's itching, is I'm sure that all three of us saw the trailer for Book of Boba Fett.
Oh, you want to talk about this shit right now? I mean,
it's a trailer, Matt. We can talk about it in 2 minutes. I'm just curious, thoughts and expectations. And
looks campy as fuck.
Yeah, that was my kind of feel too. I was like, okay, I don't want it to be weak ass Boba Fett. I want it to be fucking ruthless Boba Fett.
Okay, so here's the thing. It's taken us an hour and 30 minutes to get to what, as 3 Star Wars fans, we should all be like, fuck yeah, man.
I was trying to respect Jack.
No, but I mean, like, seriously, like, we should have all been like clamoring to talk about like
fucking weak.
Yeah, I mean, that's why I was not clamoring.
I wanted to see like from the trailer. That's what I want to see. I want to see his glove come out of the Sarlacc pit.
Yeah, that would.
You know what I mean?
That would have been a cool opening shot, just like
right.
Yeah,
that's what I expected to happen right after whatever we saw right there was like his glove or something. I don't know. I want to see young Boba.
You're not. Yeah.
I want to see even in a flashback.
You're getting fat Boba.
I know we're getting fat Boba,
it's
but I want to see
Mandalorian Boba Fett.
It's the Book of Boba Fett. You're telling me that the Book of Boba Fett doesn't include a chapter?
It's just one chapter.
Fuck that shit. No.
We'll see.
I want to see. Okay, well, from what I saw, I was like, this is some Star Trek Deep Space Nine bullshit. Okay? You're like, we're going to talk to all the houses and stuff like that. It's like, okay. And then we got some cool Fennec moves, but whatever. Like, there was nothing. There was no Boba action that made me say, oh, this is so badass to the wall, Max.
You want to know what looks better than
this is why Mando season 3 was delayed? What the hell?
Yeah.
Go ahead.
Yeah, go ahead, Chris.
What looks better than Boba Fett? I'm gonna say this right now.
Yeah.
This could get me fucking murdered in some circles. but the animated Star Trek cartoon on Paramount looks better than Boba Fett.
Huh.
Oh.
Look it up.
Okay, I'll look it up. Look it out. Look it up. Check it out. Move it on. Up. I'll check it out.
Yeah, it just I was super excited to see it, and I was like, "Oh, I'm gonna get home. I'm gonna go to work and watch that trailer. Watch the trailer." And I sat in my car and watched the trailer. I'm like, I fucking waited all day for this shit.
Right?
The fuck?
Yeah.
No, looks dumb. It looks dumb. Like it actually looks bad. And when you have a trailer, like a teaser,
yeah,
the teaser is intended to fucking tease.
Right?
Like, what the fuck is that?
Every shot of Jabba's palace, I'm down for.
Great.
I'm okay.
There wasn't real. It was CGI.
But I'm just saying, like, I'm enjoying where this is going to take place and what we're going to see, but you didn't show me anything that I don't already know from watching the very last 2 minutes of.
Exactly. Yeah.
You know what I mean? Like, I'm not getting anything more other than, okay, Fennec's there, you're doing this thing. Like, again, there was nothing badass that like made us say, "Wow."
Jabba ruled by fear. I rule by respect. And it's like, all right. Yeah, like I felt like everything they were trying to make it look cool was just kind of like just really grasping at straws, and I was like, yeah, exactly. Like I think Matt, you hit that perfectly. Is that the last couple of minutes of Mandalorian was really enough, and then this trailer did not provide me any comfort that this show is going to be great. It's just kind of like, okay.
You could have showed me 2 minutes or even a minute solid of dialogue and action, just a solid straight clip from the show, and I would have been probably more happier. Or maybe not. Maybe not. I don't know.
Maybe it's that bad.
Maybe. You know what's not that bad? Ending the show. You know what I'm saying?
It could be bad.
I mean, we could continue talking because clearly
I'm sure
Jack's not here to make fun of me. So, and
it's true. It's just we are kind of missing an element, aren't we?
We are missing our man on the scene,
our instigator.
If you enjoy what we do here, and why wouldn't you? Some of you join us live, and we appreciate that.
I look forward to next week when we have to recap everything we've talked about this episode for Jack.
Right. Yeah. We are definitely going to talk about Dune 2.0 next week. So bear that in mind. No, thanks for joining us. Send us an email just like Riley did at rcadcast@gmail.com. Join us live. Check us out on YouTube. Follow us at just the Ramblecast After Dark.
Isn't Riley our fan from Down Under? I think Riley is.
I wouldn't call her that. I don't know. I don't know where.
I remember getting an email from someone that was from Australia, and like they listened. They were like a month behind, but they listened to everything.
Well, Riley, if you want the Swan Job postcard, it is all yours.
Dude, if I was not a host on this podcast, I would totally want the Swan giving a young boy a blowjob postcard.
I don't know why you don't want it, Riley. I'll put enough stamps on it to get it to the Down Under. So, check us out by going over to jandjack.com, click on the Patron link, become a patron, or click on our show information. There's some patrons that make this show possible, among all others. They are Dune themed. That's right, because Dune.
Okay.
So hopefully Chris knows these terms and will pronounce them.
Not going to.
Okay, then
but we'll give it a shot.
Okay.
Arrakis Tack.
Good.
Eckhart Freeman.
That was an easy one.
Fremen.
Sorry, Fremen.
That's okay.
Richter Rabin.
Raban.
Rabin.
Raban.
Rabin.
You're not putting the accents on the like syllables.
Padisha Ed the Emperor Shaddam IV.
Oh God.
Muad'Dib Maggie.
That's pretty good. Muad'Dib.
Gom Jabbar Joan.
Did you want me to keep that up there longer? Or do you want me to keep going with?
No, I just meant because it was the end, so it was like
that was the end. Yeah. I definitely had fun with those. So, and if you joined us live, you got to see all of the different Dune themed images that I put up there. So, for once, the Joanne was easier because there's like also the Bene Gesserit Joanne. That would have been the easy one too. So there's a lot of cool Dune names. Chris, that's always that's how I see Chris's face on here. So thanks for joining us live. Yeah, go ahead.
One of the things I thought was odd that they did not explain in Dune is the shields that they wear, the protective shields. That's the reason why they're sword-centric culture is because guns are irrelevant because of the shields, because the bullets wouldn't pierce. So that's why it was swords. I felt that was something that should have been addressed. But they never really talked about it.
Yeah.
But anyway.
It doesn't really go into too much of that in the book either, except for the fact that when, and this would just play out as far as like, if you were a knife fighter or a sword fighter, if you have a shield and you're going up against someone who's a Fremen who has never fought with a shield, they're going to be a different fighter. And so, as Paul is like actually facing the knife fighter at the end there, he's facing off against someone who actually has a different fighting technique altogether. So and he's unfamiliar. He also thinks that he has the upper hand because Paul's young, and he thinks that he's just like some kind of like.
Yeah, that scene to me was, I got it, but I felt it was rushed. Because like all of a sudden it's like, she bested you, so now you're no longer leader. I challenge. And you're like, it just needed a little bit more explanation. I felt, because it's like all of a sudden it's like, oh, so now he's fighting because his mother doesn't want to fight, and
so basically, like he was protected in that siege. He was protected by those people, those Fremen. Paul was, but the mother wasn't, and so her water would have been valuable, and. Right. Stilgar was basically like, well, you can fight, so you're a badass, so you're accepted because you have this fighting technique.
Talk about a throwaway role for Javier Bardem, though.
Yeah, that's what I'm saying. Like, there's a lot of like really good actors that are in the movie, and that was to me, it was like, what was the motivation aside from money to want to be?
I actually didn't realize it was him until that scene.
Yeah. I knew. Yeah. The only scene I thought was really interesting was, the first time that Aquaman brings Javier in, and he spits, and then like, the cultural misunderstanding of like, oh, thank you for giving your moisture from your body, as a sign of respect. Like, oh, that's interesting.
Well, he's going to play a larger role in the second.
Oh, no doubt. Yeah, just like so many people. It's just like Zendaya, like people asked her what she thought about Dune. She's like, well, I'm hardly in it. And you're like, oh, yeah.
Our listeners are just annoyed, and they just want us to roll the Dune credits. So
really? How do you know? I think they're all out there going like, just keep going, man. Just keep going.
This is a great show.
We didn't even need Jack to keep this show going.
Well, seriously, I knew that we would get to talking, especially, when I get Dune hard like this. So,
all right.
Use a little bit of Viagra.
I did. It's the little blue pill next to the red one.
That must be why you walked off for a few minutes.
I did. I had to jack it off. So, all right. On that note, great show, kids. It was